All right, so we started the broadcast for the Cobalt main session for Wednesday, June 27th, 2018, which is the midpoint, 15th day of the selling moon month. All right, so we started the broadcast for the...
It's okay.
So let's add that to our notes. All right, so now we're going into the budget. And so my understanding is the primary goal of the budget. We could copy and paste information from the Andromeda buddy team, just so we have that in the notes. Also want to remind that we need to do the indexing all of the information and responsibilities for the sponsorship client work. Right? From the Andromeda session.
Okay.
Okay. So those are two tasks that we don't want to forget. And for me, I think the main desired outcome for the budget is to learn how to create budget proposals.
Yes. I press it. Is that?
Huh?
I copy and paste information from Andromeda. I think this is the. Where are we now? A problem.
Cool. So let's. I guess we can review some of that now. Let's just go into the ranked budget. So I'm going into the ranked budget. This is for 116. We want our next month's budget.
Okay, next month budget is
I'm pretty sure we had that from our last session. I don't think you copied everything.
I copied half of it. Okay, let me copy everything. Yes, up to here. Budget rank is there for June, July, August.
This one here. Cool, so let's go ahead and copy and put this at the top so that it's easy to find, and then you can also make it bold. Looks like Wahoo has a proposal. All right, so let's put this on our list of priorities as well. So if we get to it, would be good, but this would be, it would also go in our proposals. Add arbitration proposal from Wahoo. So Wahoo's proposed. So I don't know about time to go over it, but obviously a lot going on there. Okay, back to the budget. So we have here the 138 budget. So the first step is putting the new world and old world super team actual income. So this would be the client from client income. So it would be estimated income, right? So do you want to do that, or you want me to do that, or? So this would just be from the this would be from the tabulations, right? So this is from the third degree tabulations.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do that, or?
I'll do. My machine is a bit. My machine hung. But I'm trying to minimize to control some of the tabs to see if it really goes well.
So the potential income looks correct. This is all going to need to be updated. This looks good. This looks good. This looks good. I guess I could take this out. I guess I could leave it there.
This one.
Cool. So these need a little updating, but overall it looks pretty good.
And
I'm going to go ahead and add in the Joyce Teresa one here. So if I get from last month.
I updated the income for new world and old world.
What? Oh, you updated it finally? Oh, no, that's not right. It would be the total.
Not actual income.
It would be this one right here for the budget. It's column O. It'd be column O right here for the budget. This one.
Column O. I don't know. On a new complex or where?
What? For column O for the new world and old world budget, for the actual budget? You see my screen?
Yeah.
So this is a 3-degree invoice tabulation. And column O has the budget.
Oh, okay. Is this the actual budget there? I thought the actual budget that. Okay, after multiplication. Okay. Let me use that. 4. Okay. Thank you.
And the reason why we multiply it is because we have to do the internal operations as well as the client work, as well as all of our normal hours.
Okay. Good. Now, okay.
Okay, we're good?
Yeah, you're good.
Cool. So I'll update these ones later. To update these ones, you just have to add the total income and then multiply by the 3.5x and then divide by the various client budget pools, right? And that'll give us the numbers from these. But it's probably around that. So we'll figure that out. All right. So I added main buddy team Teresa, Joyce, and Aline. I'm curious if we still have their. Oh, let's see it. We need a link. We need to link their main buddy team still.
The link is there.
So it looks like we've got eight buddy teams. Which is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we have 14 paid workers. So according to our potential income, we should be able to get all the client work done with 16 workers working part-time. Okay? So the goal would be, to get all the client work done plus all the internal operations done, and it technically should be possible if everybody did the work that they said they were going to do. So, according to the budget, it's supposed to work out. But obviously it's not going to work out, but the budget shouldn't be the problem. All right? There's some other problem going on besides the budget. So the annual budget's $35,000. That's probably still a little high and in the red, but we'll have to do our annual budgeting at some point. The total for column for the whole month is $3,000 for everybody. So if we have 1,069. So if we have $1,069.45, and then if we paid everybody what they're asking for, the requested, wait, let's make sure this is right. Yeah, $2,920. So that is correct. So if we pay everybody what they asked, we would be in the red by $1,850. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So the question is, how much can we spend, and who do we have to cut? So we know this is tier 0. Just make these purple because they're tier 0. So tier 0.5 and tier 1 would be Jessica, Rachel, Asif, Razu, and Zilu. Tier 2, and so those would automatically be included, right? So we know tier 1 is included because it fits within the $1,000.69. As soon as we add tier 2, it no longer fits in the budget. So obviously for these, we're going to be doing 2 weeks notice. So this is fits in budget. Fits in budget. All right. So I think this looks good. We have tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And it adds up to $3,000. Does that look good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say most likely tier 3 would be, would at some level need to potentially come out of next month's budget or somehow be, addressed. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. Where's our notes? This notes. Here we go. Okay. So what we have is so the current budget, or let's say the income for the budget is equal to the actual income is equal to $1,000, $1,069, whatever. So we could basically comfortably say like $2,000 to be tier 2 could be, reasonable to prevent complete, firing of everyone, right? I mean, that would be good. So then the question is, we could do maybe 2250 or maybe 2500, something like that would be like, the maximum. I think this is reasonable. So obviously $3,000 would be needed for everyone to fit in the budget, but we don't have this much money. So basically, I would say that tier 3, we would need to borrow from next month. I think that makes sense, right? Computer seems to be spinning. So how much do you think that we should borrow from next month? So if we have, if we doubling it, like the $1,000 is our actual income, and let's say, through the kindness of my heart, we double it, basically just give away another $1,000 just in the hope that maybe our team will get functional and create a balanced budget. So if we do that, the question would be, how much money should we borrow from next month's budget?
So we don't know even next month how much will we have. So hard.
Well, no, we could do 2,250, or I would say 2,500 would be the maximum, right? So I would vote for either 2,250 or possibly 2,500, but I'm concerned about that. Maybe this would be like a 6, but this would be like an 8. I'm fine with 2,000, and obviously I'm fine with 1,069. Because this is the actual budget. This is all that should be guaranteed. Like, if basically the work isn't done, like everyone who doesn't fit in the $1,000 we bring in, we don't have any more money, and everyone gets fired who wouldn't fit in that budget. Does that make sense? Like, that's what we're going towards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So eventually, whatever money we bring in is the money that we spend. There's no other money, right? Any other money beyond that is basically just taking money from someone else, like myself. And it's just, no one should feel okay with that, because you're just basically taking money and not doing work, right? It's just not moral or ethical or correct or okay. Like, if people want to get paid, they need to step up and do the work. Otherwise, they shouldn't get paid. So I'm willing, because obviously if we cut it down to $1,000, it would be pretty brutal. So I'm willing to double it to 2,000. And then from there, anything in addition to that, it should be taken out of next month's budget. So if we did the 2,250 or the 2,500, I think that is doable. So what do you think we should base our budget on?
I don't know where will we get this money, because even though we say let's go for maybe 2,500, it still is going to be telling the amount ahead. Maybe like we just only have 1,000. How can we double? You say you double to 2,000. It's okay. If you double to 2,000. It's
So,
still.
What are you saying, that we should do 2,000? What do you want? Are you voting for 2,000, or are you voting for 2,250? Or are you voting for 2,500? Or are you voting for more?
Oh, my concern, even though I'm going to vote for 2,500, but still concern is, where will we go? Where are we going to get this money? Because a lot of money that you're adding.
We technically get the money from doing the work, right? So for example, if you look here from the old world did $222 of client work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how much money we have to spend. So if we multiplied that times the $594, because that's the 3.5x, right? So you take 594 minus the 222 is equal to $372. So the old world made a net increase of $372 on the client work. So if you just do more client work, you're going to increase the amount of money that you're bringing in to cover the costs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it will cover the cost, and again, we still have to have more because we borrow. Let's say we borrow now like 1,500. Then we work for maybe like also again maybe 1,500. We still don't have a budget.
No one's talking about borrowing 1,500. This would be $250. This would be $500. So the maximum I think that we would borrow would be $500 on a $2,500 budget. So if you do 500 divided by 2,500, that would be 20%.
Yeah, I'll go for this. $2,500, yeah.
Okay, so let's just go with the $2,500 budget. Okay.
Okay.
And it doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room, So we could also see what a $2,000 budget would look like, but let's say play around with it. So we're going to do a $2,500 budget. Okay, so we're going to start with two options. So option number one is going to be, no reductions. Okay. Also, did we get all of these budget requests correct? Are these all correct?
Yeah.
Are you sure? This isn't from last month. These have all been double checked for this month.
This for this month, I check this the right amount.
And these are all for next month.
Like you can see, Jessica has 380, and before it was 320, 330. I update the right for this. It's right there.
Okay, so these are all correct for next month?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so what we end up with is so the only other question here is if we want to do the complex one, if we added in the complex, that would change the budget values somewhat, but let's just stick with the simple for now, okay? So that's
Okay.
2,370. So no reductions would be like this. And as far as I know, this is pretty much what we did last month, is we basically just fired everybody who didn't fit within the budget. And nobody wanted to do reductions. So option number 2 would be doing reductions to fit in a buddy team that doesn't fit with no reductions. Okay, so you want me to show you how to do this?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, and it would be similar with the complex model as well. So you come over here. Oh, lowest. So we need the lowest for Joyce and Eileen. Did you link it? Yeah, you linked it. So Teresa, yeah. Joyce, and Eileen. Their lowest is. So the one with no reductions is obviously the easiest one, right? Because that's just, you just take the values that are there and you just put them on there. This is Albina and Steve O. So Teresa, Joyce, and Eileen.
Their lowest are put to be 140 because Teresa has no lowest.
I see 590 for 40 hours. That it's the same.
Yeah.
So here you do 590 for 40 hours. So this is the lowest. And then here you've got, and these are basically just 0. I mean, it's silly to say 10 cents and 20 cents. All right, lowest hour. Okay, cool. So this all looks good. So then the total requested would be equal to 2,920. That make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the total requested, and then the total allocated is 2,500. Right? So we know we have $2,500, which is over budgeted by 400, and then you have the percentage of each one here, right? Although we did make a mistake already. So because the 590 can't go any lower, it's the lowest, right? We actually are going to go ahead and exclude that one. So we're going to take this, is going to be equal to 2,900 minus the 590 is actually 2,330, right? And so this is without Teresa, Joyce, Eileen. So it's going to be 2,330 is the total requested, 2,330. And then the total allocated is going to be the 2,500 minus Well, actually, let's just go ahead and leave it. Yeah, let's just go ahead and leave it for now and let's just pretend like we're going to try to fit everybody in and what that would look like for the rankings, okay? So we're going to go ahead and leave it like this to see the actual rankings, right? Because we know that Teresa, Joyce, and Aline would need to be cut more than everybody else. So you can see that the total reduction in the budget is 14%, right? And then the new time, new dollar per hour. Cool. So we know that this doesn't change. So over here, this is going to stay 590.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 0% reduction, right? So then you take the new dollar per hour, and then this will become the rankings. And you can see that Teresa, Joyce, and Aline immediately go down to the lowest ranking, right? So then that gets us to tier 2, and then this becomes tier 3. And then this is tier 1, tier 0. So tier 0, we're going to make blue. And we have tier 1 green. And then tier 2 and tier 3, right? So what we can do here is if we take all these and add it up, we get $2,000. So if we were going to do a $2,000 budget, that's what it would look like, right?
Yeah.
So let's note this. So basically, what we have here is we have two things. One is a option 3 would be a $2,000 budget, and it cuts Teresa, Joyce, and Eileen. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Come on.
Why?
There we go.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so then this would be Rachel to Lucy and Joseph. So this is the $2,000 budget, and it's exactly, let's see, 1,994.86. 1,984 something or other. I don't know.
Yeah.
1,994. Okay, so that's pretty much $2,000. So this would be the $2,000 budget, which would cut Teresa, Joyce, and Aline. And then if we added everybody together, it would be 2,584. Right? So that would be the next, the option 2. So we go ahead and copy everybody. I've done this and showed this to you before. So you should be able to do it. I don't know if you want to try to do another one, but I pretty much did 3 options for you. Does it make sense? Are you understanding?
Yeah. Okay, let me try one.
So the first thing is to figure out what you want to try.
I just have to look at the option that you already put.
There we go.
Option
one option could be like a $1,000 budget, but although that one's really simple and easy. So
option
you have
3.
So right now we have 3 options. Option number 1 is with no reductions. All right, and this is obviously cuts cut buddy team Lucy and Joseph, right? Option 2 is with reductions. And then that would cut, oh no, this would fit everybody because it would be a total of 2,584. So this is 2,584.
Then option 3, they'll be having like still 3 body teams, which is 1,324. Option 4, having the body team of Jessica, Rachel.
And why are you cutting the buddy team of Jessica and Rachel?
Yeah, Jessica, Asivrazu, Albina, and Steve.
What are you cutting again?
Cutting Lucy, Wahoo, and Teresa. Body team of Albina.
Okay, so you shouldn't even talk about the buddy teams. It should be about why you're cutting them. So, for example, when I cut buddy team Teresa, Joyce, and Aline, it's because they're ranked the lowest because they can't lower they can't lower their lowest.
Okay, so you have to see the reason why you cut that buddy team.
Always, yeah. I mean, it's always based on the process and the policy. You don't just randomly cut people, right? So it's based on the total budget. I mean, it's possible we only have 3 budget options. So another option would be, $1,500 budget. So a $1,500 budget would cut an additional, it might just be Jessica through Marcel or something, or we'd have to do further reductions to do a $1,500 budget.
The $1,500 will be maybe 3 rank buddy teams.
Maybe.
The highest, which is having like if that is the reason, I can take this one, the top 3 buddy teams with the amount of 1,340. Is that okay?
If you want to propose that as a budget option, it seems like it might make more sense to do like $1,500 where you actually were trying to include another buddy team and then do a reduction. But, if you're fine with these 3 options, I mean, I think we can just stop here and we have 3 pretty clear budget options. Other budget questions could be, including funds for other people like Steve or just put this down. Other considerations. There's Steve. There is Tom, Nahidi. I think those are the only 3 that I know about.
Yeah. So buddy team plays around all new one.
What?
Joyce buddy team.
Joyce,
is it a new one?
buddy team.
Luis and Teresa.
Yeah, Joyce, Teresa, and Aline. What about
Are they new world or old world?
They would be New World.
Okay.
So that's another possible option is the old world versus new world. So the old world budget itself is $594, right? So if you take both of the old world budgets, so this would be Lucy and Joseph and Albina and Steve, it's almost 1,000. Yeah, it's 1,030. So in order for you guys to cover your expenses and for your budget for the old world, you would needed to have brought in $1,030. And you only brought in $594. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that might mean that one of the two buddy teams would need to switch to New World as well.
So do we have money in New World? I think we also we just have 474.
No, Old World is 594. New World is 474.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, we don't have money also there.
I know, but this money here, right, where we're talking about, right? We know that the total budget for the whole global network, right, for our FCON workers is $1,069. Right? That's the money that we brought in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anything above that is coming from basically my pocket, and it's coming from the New World. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So when we talk about a $2,000 budget or a $2,500 budget, it's that those funds are coming from the New World. So that's why they would be based on the New World budget. That make sense?
Yes.
So the supplemental budget to not have to fire people is a New World budget. So if we continue to just not do the work and not do the client work and not balance our budget, eventually everyone's going to be New World. Right? Because it's just like, obviously, people aren't doing the work in the old world to bring the funds in and need more supervision. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually we should get to the point where where it's just like, yes, of course we're going to do 28.5% client work. Right? It shouldn't be a problem. Like, so if someone's working like 20 hours in a week, right? 28.5% client work is 20 hours in a week times 28.5% client work is 5 to 6 hours of client work. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. You know, I mean, I spend the vast majority of my work on client work easily, like at least 50%, if not less than 50%. You know, but I shouldn't have to work and do my jobs to pay other people to not do work, you know, and not do the client work. We got to fix that. So it shouldn't be that hard to fix that. And I think it's already been improving in the last week or two, don't you think?
Yeah.
So next month it should be much better, and then our budget should start going up, and then we can start increasing the budget, and then we can start, you know, finalizing getting all the work done, and everything will turn around. Right now we're still not in too good shape. But if you don't remember, even like a couple months ago, we didn't even have $1,000. of client work, right? So actually having $1,000 in the budget is actually an improvement. You know, so last month we had $1,000, so we actually didn't improve from last month. So it's exactly the same, pretty much. In fact, I think it might have gone down like 40 bucks. But the month before that, we basically had nothing, right? So we're definitely improving. You know, so hopefully next month it'll be $1,500 or it'll be $2,000 instead of $1,000, right?
Yeah.
And then once that happens, people can switch back to the old world. They can move their budget to the old world budget if it fits. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So basically the way to think about it is that people who are not getting the work done need more supervision and need to work with me more and have more oversight and involvement with their work. People who are doing the work and are meeting the goals of the client work and everything can be more independent. So anyways, I mean, if you feel good with these three budgets, we can just leave it like this. If you can think of a fourth option, we could consider the fourth option.
It's okay like this. Not really, but maybe you can see the fourth option. If it is there, it's okay also still.
Cool.
So people who are in a new world, are they always reporting working with you?
Not necessarily. Just because you're a new world worker, like for example, like we need the rankings. I don't know if you could link the rankings, but we need to have updated rankings with all individuals. So currently we have the buddy team rankings, right? So you can look here, we can see the buddy team rankings, but what we can't do is we don't see the actual individual rankings, right? So the individual rankings would be based on each individual's pay rate, right? So in that context, it is that's what determines whether you're a global worker or a regional worker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for example, Jessica and Rachel, I mean, obviously they're increasing their budgets. If they keep increasing their budgets, they can't be global workers. That's just the way it is, right? Marcel, right? Marcel's minimum wage at $13 an hour can't be a global worker automatically, right? So it just depends. And Farah's brand new, right? So Farah, once she goes through a little training, could probably become a global worker. But basically, those who are ranked the highest would be global workers. People who are ranked the lowest would need to not be global workers and focus on client work, right? And then obviously anyone who's appointed or elected a co-chair or been involved, it's fine to continue it as a global worker. But the point is that when someone's getting paid more money, they need to focus on client work, and they would have less involvement in the global network, right? If you think about it, the global network, we don't do work at the global level. We don't do client work, we do meetings, and we do planning and decision making. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the more you want to get paid, the less we want you involved with decision making and meetings and planning, because you're just costing us money. So are we on the same page?
Yes.
All right. So any other questions about it, or are we good?
No question.
Cool. So we have 3 budget options.
Which ranking are you using?
What?
The rankings that you are using for individual, is it jurisdiction hourly ranking? Based on
yeah, it's the actual. It would be the actual average hourly ranking. For new people, you just use their budget proposal. All right.
Yeah. We have that updated for 151 degree. I don't know why they did not update for 3 degree.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if you want to link that, we can take a quick look at it. Otherwise, we can just go on to the next topic. We only have about 50 minutes left.
Okay, yeah, let's just link
Okay, cool. So I mean,
that.
I think we're pretty good on the budget. We have 3 budget options. You know, and again, what's really, really, really important about this is that the budget options need to come before the session, right? The budget options are work. You do this during during buddy teams, you know, and then you bring it to the global team to make decisions on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you don't want to do is you don't want to sit here during main sessions going over all of this work that should have already been done. Okay, so if you see here, Jessica, I believe this is her old amount. So when we update this, we can delete a lot of people, right? There's obviously a lot of people here that can be deleted off of the rankings to simplify it.
Okay, so I just want to know which budget are you really putting there? Is it the one person works on? Like maybe I'm allocating to work for $200, but I did not work for 200. I work only for 100. So is that the one I supposed to update it here, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
that would be the actual. That would be the actual pay per month. Yeah. So we would want to do one for the current moon month, which would be the 116 degree moon month, right? So you would duplicate this, create a new one. It's supposed to have jurisdictional as well. I'm not sure what happened to the jurisdictional tab. They're supposed to be normal and jurisdictional. And then you have the actual.
It's going to.
What?
If we end the month, it's gonna be okay. I think we end the month already. 16 degree.
116 degree. We're at the middle of the month.
Yeah, until we finish the month because we need the total hours of the
okay,
whole
so
of
then
the month.
so then it can be 3 degree, whatever. But the point is that it's just, this is just a current ranking, right? We want a current ranking. I really don't like the. There's also the average, you know, income per month. This doesn't necessarily have to be the average. If for a new person, you just put their current pay. Does that make sense? Because we don't have the information. This should just be the normal rankings for everybody. We could immediately put everybody in here, and it should be ranking everybody exactly to the correct amount, right? If we don't have that, there's a problem, right? And right now we don't have that, so it's a problem, right? So anyways, the point here, you can see Jessica is at 133. I don't know if that's correct, right? And then from there you have, so you've got Jessica and Rachel. So if you look at Rachel, I don't even see Rachel. Oh, here you go, Rachel. Somehow it's not working for some reason. It's a problem. It's like this just doesn't have it. So anyways, if you don't have the upfront paid total, you just put her current budget amount and her current hours and her budgeted hours. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So you need something for everybody, and you start with their budget, and then you update it based on their actual paid and their actual hours worked. Okay, so.
Okay. Yes, if they did not work, I just put the budget that is there together with the hours that they request, right?
Okay, but either way, it's just like none of this is applicable if this is just for 1 month. It's the average. It's total. It's the average pay per month over multiple months, and then we have a whole spreadsheet and a process for that. If you need me to go over that with you, I can.
We have the spreadsheet. We have also that spreadsheet. It's top ranking. We have that one also.
That's the one we want to use. This is this is just for a single moon month. It's pointless. That's the spreadsheet already has that information in it. We don't need a separate spreadsheet.
Okay, let me give you top ranking spreadsheet. Then maybe you can show me.
Well, I don't know if this is really applicable to right now in the budget. That's more about the rankings and whether someone's a global worker or not. But the point here is you can see that Jessica should be a global worker, right? And even so should you and other people, right? And see for Aziz. So we just want to make sure that we are keeping track of making sure, you know, where people are at. Whereas like Abdul, Mamoon, they wanted a lot of funds, even Shagimi to a certain extent. All right, Teresa also, you know, Teresa is not a global worker because she wants to get paid a lot, almost 2 or 3 times more than Jessica. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and also the same would be true for the client work, right? The more someone wants to get paid per hour, they need to be focusing on client work. They can't be working on just, you know, chatting it up and doing internal operations. You know, they're not doing client work. It better be internal operations, but the more you want to get paid, the less you can basically be flexible. You have to do the work that you're assigned. All right?
Yeah. Can you show me now on average, or we don't have time for that? Maybe just 2 minutes. Can you open?
I mean, for me, it's not a priority. We can prioritize it later.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we don't need to really go over it now. And again, once we do that, then we can do the complex model for the budgeting. But I think right now the simple model for budgeting is perfectly fine. And we're already more than doubling the budget. So I'm not really worried about it. Okay, so let's go on to the next topic. And what I really want to talk about, if we can get to this, and we only have 40 minutes left, is I would prefer, instead of doing the jurisdictional or the rankings, right, I would prefer to talk about the weekly check-in calculations for the money check-ins. Because I think this is going to help us, okay?
Yeah.
So now we're doing the prep for the full moon. We need to send, so are you ready for that?
Yes, we are ready. I'm just doing the index includer.
Cool. So having the budget proposals is definitely good. So we can add those to the proposal doc as well. So prep for full moon. So this would be part of session support. Right? And so over time, we need a responsibility organizing doc that goes over all of the steps that we do for every single session. So we already know for the full moon, we need to send out reminders for weekly check-in. We also need to send out election for the co-chairs. Also, we want to add in the new people for the co-chair elections, right? And so it's very important to add them in, and then everyone gets to vote on the co-chair, including the new people, all right?
Yeah.
I need 40 more minutes. All right, is there anything else that we want to do for the full moon session support? So
I think the priority that we are going to focus on, budget, which is there.
So the budget is basically done. We want to add the proposals to the proposal doc, right?
Yeah.
We also might want to update the priorities doc. And if the doc, or no, the priorities spreadsheet, prioritization spreadsheet. And if the prioritization spreadsheet is, you know, ready, we could send it out for people to vote ahead of time.
Yeah.
But if it's not ready, I wouldn't even do it, right? So update and add all the proposals to the proposal doc, and this would include the budgets. This would include Wahoo's proposal. I think we have all of these proposals too. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. And then also, obviously, there's previous/old proposals that need to be addressed. And I would like, for the proposals, we might want to add a topic priority of reviewing the voting form.
Yeah.
Because we need to be doing the voting forms. Also, the voting forms will become a soft/hard stop responsibility. Why would the voting forms be a hard soft stop responsibility?
I don't know.
The reason why that would happen is because all of the proposals of all of the decisions that we make as an organization, including firing people, our budget decisions that result in firing or hiring people, all of our decisions regarding our policies that people have to follow, right? All of that affects everybody individually. And so therefore, it's just, it's a requirement of our processes that everyone can vote on the proposals that affect their lives on the voting form, even if they don't come to the session. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why it needs to be a hard soft stop responsibility, because it's the foundation of the entire network and our organizations, because the votes that we make and the decisions that we make affect everyone's lives. And so therefore we need to be accountable to it. And so after every session, when we vote on things, we need to create the voting forms. They need to be sent out to everybody so that they can be reviewed and voted on. And it needs to be hard stop, soft stop, because if it doesn't happen, then you basically are taking away people's right to vote and have a say in their life. Okay?
Okay.
So it's important to make sure we do that. All right, so I think that's pretty much it on my side. I do want to go over the old proposals, but we have another topic for that we can go over the proposals for. Anything else for the full moon session?
No.
I guess the only thing that we're lacking on, and this actually would be part of this task up here for session support reminders and requests from participants. So the RSVPs are the the schedule, worker schedule. We do not have individuals signed up to attend.
So we want to create for individual IRV.
Yeah, and even up here when we go over our schedule, right? Mm-hmm. So in this part where we go, actually we skip the schedule. Oops. But attendance, groups, and rankings. This could be just we could review the schedule during that to know who's supposed to be attending. Okay.
Yeah.
And another topic that I think would be good, to also add if we could get to it, and this is also going to be client work now. So these are topics, priority topics, would be the team equity and network equity. So the team equity, network equity, that's now going to be, this is going to be client work now as part of Legion/membership.
So I don't understand the proposal that you put for Wahoo. What is it all about?
I don't know. She just sent it. We have it on our schedule to go over it here if we have time, but we only have 35 minutes. So do you have any other questions about the prep for the full moon?
No.
All right, cool. So let's make sure we add these topics if we can. So these are add priority topics. So that also would be there, update person. Okay, cool. All right, so I think this is all pretty much clear. So if we can also index this into session support. All right, so there should be a session support, section for the full moon. Every full moon, this is what we do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have a session support for full moon?
We should. We don't have a budget. Eventually, we'll have a budget for it, but no, just go to session support and make a section for full moon and index. Sound good?
I don't think whether we have a session support or we just update it inside the doc for full moon.
No, session support. It doesn't. It's not part of the full moon doc. It's part of the session support. That make sense?
Yeah.
And the reason is because the full moon doc would be for our full moon notes and our activities of the global core team. This is session support. This is to support the global core team, not the global core team. We don't want to confuse everybody, right? So when you're working on session support, it's actually a responsibility to support the global core team. It's not the global core team itself. Coolio. All right, so should we move on, or do you have any other questions about the session support for full moon?
No, I don't know. I'm asking, do we have a doc for session support? I tried to search.
Yes, of course we have a doc for session support. It's one of our main project docs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will check it.
Everything that you do for Earth session, Jupiter session, everything you do for Mars session, everything you do for Saturn session, all of that Ceres session, it all goes under session support. Right? So when you're indexing, you're organizing all the work that you've ever done for any of those things that have to do with the Ceres session, the Jupiter session, the Saturn session, the Mars session, the Venus, all of it all goes under session support. Okay?
Okay.
Cool. And that's where your responsibility organizing should be. Every single thing that you do should be a responsibility. It should be organized under the responsibility section within the session support. All right?
Okay.
All right, so are we ready to move on? Or any other questions about the session support?
No question, Mom. Okay.
Cool. Just to go back up a little bit, like once you understand the basic policies, the basic methods, what we're doing, why we're doing it, like the bigger picture, like we kind of did with you and Albina today during and we actually step back and follow the process instead of just jumping into random work for who knows what, without any clear guidelines or clear goals, right? Once you actually step back and understand the methods, the amount of work that needs to get done is endless. People shouldn't need to come to me to ask for work. There's so much work to do. It's unbelievable, right? But you need to understand how to go about doing the work. But once you understand the methods, you should be able to work pretty much on anything, right? And then organize it in a way that the responsibilities are clear so that not only can you work on it and achieve your goals, that you can train other people to do it too. And that's where we start functioning as an organization that's being successful instead of just failing and firing everybody. Okay, does that make sense or not?
Yes, it makes sense.
Cool. So I mean, we're still not there, but hopefully we'll get there because the alternative is very unfortunate. Alrighty, let's see here. So are we ready to go on to the next topic?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to do proposals. We have 1/2 hour left.
Yes, I already now it in sessions. Done.
Cool. So the proposals doc is related to the decision making, right? So even if we don't get to all of the proposals, all of the topics during a meeting, we still want to make sure all of the proposals are voted on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So we want to try to catch up on our backlog of proposals. Ideally, we would have a topic for each proposal. We would discuss it, we would talk about it, and we'd answer questions, and et cetera, et cetera. But since we don't have that, sometimes we just need to, get the voting form together and like allow people to vote on it. So simple proposals that are easy to vote on, everyone can just vote on it. Otherwise, people could have discussions on Skype or email, and then ask questions about the proposal, and then vote to the best of their ability. Proposals that need more discussion, people will vote no on, and then we'll have to discuss it during the session. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of proposals that haven't been addressed for quite a while. So the obvious one, so we have these here. So we know all of these need to be added to the proposals doc. We also know that we have the badges. So the badges is like really old. And then there's also the conflict evolution policy update, and this is for the bullying, anti-bullying. Oh my God, what is this? Oh my God, there's 40 pages here. No. Why would there be 40 pages here? It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. So the proposals doc isn't okay. So the proposals doc is for proposals that have not been voted on and need to go to a voting form if they are not addressed during the session. Does that make sense, or that makes totally in left field there?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So do you understand how having 40 pages of information here doesn't make any sense at all?
Yeah, because they include all the proposals that we have voted on.
So that would be the decisions doc, right? So then you have the decision. So this would be, we need glossaries, right? This is another super important responsibility, is a glossary creation and updating. Right, we need to do glossaries of terms. This is like, it has to happen. So the proposals doc, this is what a proposals doc is. Then you have the decisions doc. Decisions doc is where you list all of the decisions from a group. There's also master decisions doc that have already been made. So the proposals doc is not a decisions doc.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what to do about this, but most likely we might just need to create a new decision stock. New proposal stock. So create a new proposal stock. And also to put on the top the description and purpose of the doc. Okay, so people understand. Don't make it clear that it's not a decision stock. Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm creating now.
Cool, and then this is gonna become a decision stock. Question mark, decision stock. We're gonna change the name to a decision stock. And we don't even know what it's from or why it exists or what it is. It doesn't make any sense. So you wouldn't have just a decision stock. It would be like, for example, a global core team decision stock, a Cobalt decision stock, a master decision stock, right? It would be some type of decision stock. So we need to, I don't know what decisions these are, but whatever. It's obviously a decision stock. Okay?
Okay.
So we need a proposal doc, and we need to, you created the new proposal doc? It says I need permissions.
Oh, sorry. It's okay now.
All right, so from here we need to add the badges, the conflict evolution policy update, as well as other proposals, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so anyways, I think we're ready to move on. We've got 20 minutes left. Unfortunately, we can't really do much there, but hopefully next time we can update the proposals doc and get it functioning with all the old proposals so that we can get to the backlog and get everything voted on, okay?
Yeah, so where should I link the proposal doc? Under worker coordination?
The new proposals doc goes into the template meeting notes, which I'll do right now.
Okay.
But make sure to copy and paste the description of what a proposals doc is, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Hopefully in the future, we'll get all the proposals and voting forms correctly organized.
Yeah.
So the next topic is
And
the weekly
extra
check-ins, the weekly check-in calculations.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to here. Can you link the weekly check-in calculations by chance? And I wanted just to do a quick calculation to show how we can track the actual cost of the worker into the percentage client work that's being done.
A link.
All right, cool. So right now we're in week 1 of 2016. We're about to do week 2 because we're going into week 3.
Yeah.
And what we have here is 33% missing, no, 22.4% missing client hours. So this is still in the 33%. So if you add this up, 22.4 plus 10.94 is 33.33%. So we're changing it to 28, right? So let's start with old world, okay?
Okay.
So we have number of hours per week, and then we have the actual amount of money that it would cost per week. So then that would let's go insert to the left here. So then what we're going to end up with is a if you do the number of amount per week divided by the number of hours, you're basically going to have, you know, this would be more or less dollars per hour, like estimated dollars per hour, right? Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And this is client hours, right? So this should be client hours. Is that right? This is client hours, right?
Yeah.
So this would be G31 times D31. So if you do G, it's the percentage of client work they did times D, the total number of hours. So this is the total number of client hours. This is the total number estimated money per hour. So then here you would have money for client work. So then it would be the total number of client hours times the total estimated money per hour, which would equal the total client work. And none of these people did any client work. Okay. So then you would add up. So instead of just adding up percentages, here you're actually adding up money. So it's $60. And then here you would add up, the total is $226, right? So with this one, you had 28 missing client hours was 4.42%, right? So with this one, you would do $60 divided by $226, which gives you 26.84%. So in this particular case, it's less, right? In some cases, it would be more. So what that means is that people who are making more money were doing less client work, right? If people who are making more money were doing more client work than the people who are making less money, then the percentage would have gone up. So here you do.
Who are doing more money? How? Can you repeat that? A bit confused. People who are doing more money and.
So if you do it by money, instead of percentage of hours, right? Let's say one person is making, like, so this person is making $1.83, right?
Yeah.
And this person's making $3.96 an hour. Okay? So if you take the person making $1.83, oops, and you say you're making $1.83 and you multiply it times 10 hours of client work, right? It would be like $18.30, right?
Yeah.
But if you take the person who is doing $3.96 and you multiply that times 10 hours of client work, it equals $39. If you multiply this times 3.5, that's $138.60. Right?
Yeah.
So if you take the person making 183, and if they weren't working on client work and you had the person doing 396 doing client work, right? Then the person making $1.83 is working 10 hours, which is $18. You subtract the $18 and you have a net increase of $120. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you do it the other way around, where you have the person making $3.96 and you have them do 10 hours of internal ops or meetings or whatever, they're not doing client work, that's going to cost $39.60, right? And then if you subtract the $18 from, let's say the other person who's making $1.83 does the client work, you're going to have a loss of $21. So if the person who's making less money is not doing the client work, or no, if the person who's making less money is doing the client work, then you're going to end up with a loss of $21. Whereas if you have the person who making more money doing the client work, you're going to have a net income of $140. Do you see the difference?
Okay, I see now. So it's like someone who has the rate is low. We are going for loss if you are doing client work and your rate is very down, very low.
Well, it's not that you can't do client work. It's just that you're more flexible, right? The more money you want to get paid, like Joseph, for example, he should only be allowed to do client work. He just simply shouldn't be allowed to not do client work. If he can't do client work, then he's making too much money. He shouldn't be allowed to work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, and the same would be true with Steve O. It just doesn't make sense to pay someone, that much for them to just for us to be losing money on them. Right? They need to be doing client work to be making that kind of money. Okay, that makes sense?
Yes.
So if you had Joseph doing primarily client work and Albina not doing client work, then this percentage would have gone up instead of down. Either way, we're changing the percentage to 28 point, well, let's get the exact percentage. So it's 100% divided by 3.5 is 28.5714. So if we do 28.5714, it's actually 0.34 percentage off. Well, no, it's actually positive. So this would be green. Right? So
Yeah.
for this one over here, it would be the same thing except like that. So this would be 1% in the negative, and this would be in the positive. So I want to switch us to this model where we're doing it based on the money so that it's more dynamic, so that we can have people who are making more money do more client work, and then people who are making less money can be involved in more of the, communications and planning and training and all the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then in this case, we're still losing money, right? So with just time, we're just barely making it for old world, which is great. That's a really good step. All right. So should we do New World real quick?
Yeah.
Let's see what New World looks like. I guess I don't see much of anything here. Oh wait, no, here we go. Jessica. And what about Zilu? Oh, this is for the week before. So we had Jessica. And we just need to delete all the people who are no longer involved anymore. All right, so here's some numbers. That's interesting. So negative 15%. Oh, no, that's wrong. So 1 hour and 75, total hours is 16 hours. So this is equal to 1 divided by 16 is 10%. So it's 17.6% in bad. And then this one would be the total money is $38.31. And then this is equal to this divided by that is 12%. And then this is going to be like that. So this is an example of the other way around, right? So you can see here that for the New World, they were at 17.64% missing client hours, right? And then when you add it in money, it's actually goes down to 16.55%, so actually improves. Whereas for the Old World, it went from it went from being positive and actually completing the client work to being under by 1%, 2%. Right? So this would be the minimum 28.5%, right? And then the goal is always 33%. So we probably should just do both so we can compare. So if we were going to for the 33%, that's what it would look like. Okay.
Yeah.
But the minimum is what we're focusing on. So, and this is the one that we want to use is the money per hour, so that, and you can see here, it went down by almost 2%, whereas here for New World, it actually went up, right? They actually improved when you look at the money instead of the client, instead of just the hours. All right.
Yeah.
So I think that's it on that. Any other questions?
No.
Cool. So I mean, if you look here,
so what happened? Like it's very low, and you do more client work.
I didn't understand that.
For example, my rate may be, let's say, $3 per hour. What's gonna happen? And maybe I do more client work, and also someone who has like rate of $4 is not really working on client work. What's gonna happen?
Well, I'm just saying that the less someone's making per hour, the more flexibility they have. Right? If you allow, if we allow people to work and not do client work, and they're making like $4 or $5 an hour, based on our current budget, we're just losing money. Right? So that's going to put you on soft stop, put you on hard stop. You know, so if you're, like I was saying before, like if you take $1.83, right, $1.83, and you divide that by 396, right? It was 396, and you had $1.83. So that means that it's 2.16 for every 1 hour that the person at $1.83 is working on client work. They have to work twice as many hours to make up the difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to have the equivalent of someone, if they're making, you know, if you're making $4 an hour versus another person making $1 an hour, it would be 4 times more work to affect the percentage to meet the criteria. Right? So if our goal is to have 33% client work, the easiest way to reach that goal is to make sure that people who are spending the most money and taking the most money out of the budget are bringing in the money. If you want to get paid more than anyone else, you best be working your ass off to bring in the money. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in the budget. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you are willing to get paid very little, you don't have to work on the client work. It's not a big deal. You know, it's like perfectly fine. You know, it's like do a little client work here and there, but mainly you can work on internal operations. But you want to get paid a lot of money, you got to be working on client work. You can't do the client work. Sorry, you can't work. It's like, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other thing I want to note here is that according to the client hours, Old World met the criteria with the new percentage of 28.5%. Right?
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. Right? We're switching to the money per client because this is more realistic. But we're very close to doing this as well. Right? So we're doing it. This is all we have to do. If we just simply do this, moving forward into the future, it's good to go. We're gonna be fine. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, I think they were good on this topic. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we got
that.
I'm glad we got to review that because I'm excited about the new calculations and it should help us tremendously in calculating our client hours to make it fairer so that it's clear that people who don't make as much money should not be the ones responsible for the client work. All right, so it's time. Should we check out? We ready to check out?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go first or should I go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll give session 6. And I'm going to focus on sponsorship, budget payroll, responsibility organizing,
Cool. And just be sure to focus your responsibility organizing on your responsibilities. So it's not possible to do the responsibility organizing process by itself. You do it for your responsibilities. Awesome. All right. I feel like this was maybe a 6.75 for the session. I was enjoyed that I felt we were organized, we prioritized, and we got through pretty much most of our agenda, which is awesome. And we were very effective and efficient with the work that we did. A lot of this work, again, it's training that the work should actually be getting done before the meeting. So we need to try to train other people to help do this work, and so that we're actually getting the work done, so that when we get to the meeting, all the budget proposals are done, all the documents are updated, and we're ready to actually just make the decisions, right? That's the goal of the meetings, is to make the decisions. But for now, we're using the meetings mainly for training people on how to, run ourselves as an organization. Obviously, we're going to be doing the full moon in a couple hours, which is like 4 hours from now, 3 hours from now. And I'm looking forward to the full moon, and we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting, especially if Wahoo and all of them are there. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and obviously I'm gonna be working on everything else too, like the, all the exit token allocations and just budgets and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go have some dinner now. Thanks, Lucy.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.